Hi, I'm Mark Brown. I'm a Senior Partner Solution Architect with the AWS IBM Strategic Alliance team. And today I'd like to talk about something that IBM has done that greatly innovates with a joint approach, mainframe application modernization. It's going to let you, the customers, innovate faster and reduce the need for specialized skills. You can create and integrate secure APIs in minutes for all those digital applications that are running on AWS to access applications and data on your mainframe using a cloud-native experience. So your developers don't have to learn new or specialized tools. They can use the tools they've got and work within the DevOps tool set that they know and love today. And it lets you automate standing up repeatable mainframe environments. So your development, production, and testing. So the Z modernization stack architecture lets you do a best fit application deployment. I'm going to talk about banking, which is a very big sector for IBM Z. But first off, you've got the digital side, mobile banking, all those partners doing cash application transitions in the cloud. The majority of your digital things here, these are running on AWS. These are running typically a self-service client experience. But on the other side, on your data center, you've got your core transactions and data. Client data, your clearing, your settlement, all those transaction processing things that you're doing where you need the security, the integrity, and the performance of the Z system mainframe. But there's a space in the middle. Your sales, your CRM, typically accessed as a SaaS service. Your marketing, servicing your products and your customers. You've got key support processes that sit in the cloud but also need to work with the mainframe. We also want to be able to work with intelligent automation, such as IBM's Watson products. This is where Z and AWS come together in a best fit approach with the Z and Cloud Modernization stack. There are many benefits for Z and AWS customers in this environment. You can create and integrate secure APIs in minutes for those digital applications that also need to talk to the mainframe. And you can do it with current talent. You can reduce that talent gap that you're seeing right now on Z. They have common tools, common operating models that work across platforms. You don't have to learn something new and different here. You can use the cloud-native development experiences that your DevOps teams already know. That gives you quicker time to market, quicker using the CI/CD loop. At the same time, you can optimize costs. Things that are in cloud, things that are on AWS, stay there. Easily connected to things that need to be on your mainframe in your back end. This is a product that's available on AWS today in our marketplace. And I will next be talking about specific ways this works for API development and in usage with Z-Connect. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that Z and Cloud Modernization Stack gives you and your developers is a cloud-native development experience for developing those connections and those code and those APIs that you'll be using to talk between AWS and your mainframe. And we're going to show you a little bit of that architecture and an introduction to how that flow works. So here it is. On the left, we have the work that's being done in the AWS cloud, and above my head there is the on-premises data center running your IBM Z systems and ZOS. When you have deployed the Z modernization stack, it deploys on a Red Hat OpenShift cluster. This is a Kubernetes cluster. This is all containerized and modern in and of itself. And the things that you're doing with this is you start, of course, off with coding. And you're using code and analyze to work on your code. When you think you have something ready, this product is integrated with AWS Code Pipeline, and that's that native DevOps environment we're talking about. So you then take the code and you can put it up into AWS Code Commit, tag it the way you want to tag it, and that will trigger the build step in the DevOps pipeline. Also, this lets you store things in what we call code artifact. This is where code storage, artifact storage is done. The build will then let you take, and you can come down here and signal it back into the WASI deploy. This is the ZMod Stack deploy module, and what you're doing is you're deploying things into that sandbox. Think ZD&T. This is where you're going to test what you've done. You can do this loop over and over and over again until you think you are ready, and then you can use code build plus code deploy, and I'm going to draw a line up here first because it's going to meet. And these things will come across using that direct connect connection you have back to on-prem and deploy things into the Z systems after you've run and tested it. This lets your developers use the tools they know, the tools they're familiar with, in a modern CI/CD environment to perform that innovation loop. Dev, test, redev, test, test deploy, then bring off into production. IBM and AWS are finding that this resonates very well with developers, both on the Z side as well as on the AWS cloud and digital application side. We just talked about how to develop the APIs using Z and Cloud Modernization Stack to improve your DevOps experience. Now let's talk about how they actually wind up getting used and what the communication flow is. This is the architecture involved, and we're talking about things like credit card disputes, account balance checks, those kinds of things that your customers are doing, and they're doing them via these applications. These applications are using, call them REST APIs, or maybe you've got queries out monitoring and alerts, things that are also using those APIs. These are all talking through our API gateway, AWS, and we use identity access management to make sure they have the rights and privileges to be doing that and using these APIs as designed. The data comes out and gets stored in Amazon Elasticache, where it'll store these in case they're repeated queries. We're using REST APIs that we talked about. Talk to ZOS Connect, which is a part of the Z and Cloud Modernization Stack, and you as Z customers are already probably very familiar with this, which is then going to come back through secure channels, through AWS Direct Connect, dedicated pipeline, secure, encrypted, to your systems. So all these applications doing account balance checks, or the Z systems going out and saying with responses, you've got this much money, or you've done this chargeback. This is the flow that goes, and this all works because those APIs you were able to develop that connect your custom applications and your banking backend to those mobile and digital apps that are out on AWS being used on people's phones or wherever. Thank you for listening to my talk about the ZOS Modernization Stack on AWS. If you have further information or questions you'd like to get on this topic, feel free to contact your IBM representative or account manager. Thank you for your time.